Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul joined by Robert Ziggy Ziegler for a Week 14 NFL reaction show. Ziggy, it's great to have you back. We did a full Packers-Bears reaction yesterday, live. Talked a little bit about the Vikings, got into the Steelers a little bit. But this show is really more about us being able to dive into to all the games, because yesterday was more of an instant reaction to Chicago and Green Bay, which you can check out on our YouTube channel. Under the live tabs. We went for about an hour 25. It was a really fun show. Tons of people joined in. I think it was our biggest live ever, actually. Yesterday.
It was that and the Micah show are our two biggest.
Yeah.
So the postseason's here. It's coming.
Yeah, as far as concurrent viewers, we had 3,500 people almost in there. It was awesome. And when we're chasing down 30,000 subs, we are under 150 away from 29,000. It's awesome. If we're able to get to 30 feels like it's very, very much in reach. Maybe even by the end of the week if we play our cards right here. So if you could help us out and send us a subscription, send the show over to a friend. We're really trying to. 40 might be in play by the end of the year, by the end of the football season. It really might be in play. So yes, appreciate everyone, of course, though, for joining in, for engaging with the show. It's fun. A little banter never hurt anyone, right? It's always enjoyable. So one more thing to shout out tonight at 7:00. We will be hosting NFL Eastern time. Yes, great point. We'll be hosting NFL Trivia on Sway, an app that you can download by going into the description. There's a link to download the app. It'll take you to our show's event tonight, 7 p.m. We'll be hosting it. All it is 12 trivia questions. You answer all of them right. You split a pool of $500 with the other winners. So basically free to enter, right? Because with Sway, you have coins to enter into a competition, and you get a certain amount of free coins just for signing up. So it should be really fun. We've never done it before, but the Sway guys are really nice. And I put the questions in this morning, so the questions are in, and let's see if I would know them all. Let's just say that I would know them all.
Which team is Robert Ziggy Ziegler a fan of? Is that one of the questions?
That is not one of the questions. I didn't have it in me to put something like that. But yeah, 12 questions, and you could download the app. Again, should be a lot of fun. I know usually, people come out and you're advertising for things, but this should be a very enjoyable experience at 7 p.m. tonight. So a bunch of people download it already. And we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's our first time doing it. So we'll see. I would love to see you there. At the end of the day, this should just be fun. So we're going to dive through. Oh my gosh. We're going to dive through a handful of the games here. We're going to start with the Bears and the Packers. Brief recap, a couple final talking points, kind of the morning after, digest it a little more. And then we're going to get into all these other games here and some of the big stories. So this is more of a broader around the league kind of a show. Ziggy, you said that you had some fresh takeaways from Bears Packers related to Chicago. I haven't heard them yet. Why don't you share them with everyone?
So my takeaway from this game, I went back, I rewatched the whole game. I looked at the plays more closely. I ran the numbers. And I think this is a different way of talking about Chicago than a lot of people have been up until this point.
Okay.
My takeaway from the Bears this game, actually, is that the Bears could be a threat this year. Now, I know I've said
welcome to the party
up until this point. Well, no, so let me say what I mean, because this is going to sound very different than what I've said up until this point. I've said for a long time that I think Caleb Williams is the limiting factor for the Bears, and that is still true. But the thing about the Bears that they showed last night is that the passing offense, a lot of people remember the Bears from last year where Caleb Williams was an absolute disaster and they couldn't get anything done. But the Bears offense was actually pretty close to as efficient as the Packers offense this game. And that wasn't just reflected in the final score. You can look at things like success rate or EPA, all of these like nerd numbers. The Bears were not nearly as far away from the Packers as I expected, just in the gut punch after the game, where it's like Caleb wasn't able to get it done on fourth down. It felt like the passing offense wasn't there for the whole game. And what we saw in the second half from Chicago is that they're capable of putting together extended drives that are very, very good. So I still don't have Chicago winning the division. Everything I've said up until this point has been the Bears aren't really a threat in the playoffs. They'll be a threat in future years. You don't need to worry about the Bears if you're playing them this year. What they showed last night is that the Bears can play good enough football that if they can just get a little bit better, if Caleb can just make a couple more plays, which is not asking a whole lot given how good he's been at getting the bad plays out, Chicago could actually be a threat this year.
Oh, I think they are. I don't expect them to go on a run to the NFC Championship game, or the Super Bowl. I think would be kind of crazy. But no team is going to see Chicago if they're the 7th seed, if they're the 6th seed. Let's assume they get a wild card, which is not a fair assumption. They could still win the division. They could still be the one.
The odds are good for Green Bay at this point.
Yeah, it's likely we'd say that the Bears, if they get in, right, because Detroit is coming for them, that the Bears would probably be a wild card. But we said on the show last night, that's not a game where if you're the Packers and you play them in the first round, if you wind up being the Rams or Tampa Bay would not want to see Chicago. And it's because, to me, that rushing attack is not going anywhere. You saw it again yesterday, and the second half is really when the Bears offense got going. In the first half, 3 and out, 5 plays punt, 4 plays punt, and then you had the 14-play field goal drive. They were basically shut down. But then you saw them, maybe it was just wearing down Green Bay a little bit. All of a sudden, the second half, you have touchdown drive, field goal, touchdown drive, and then you have the pick at the end, which was a nice drive leading up when Chicago needed the touchdown to tie it. That rushing attack should not go away come playoff football. What we've been saying about Chicago, and I stand by it, yes, Caleb needs to make a couple big time plays. He's done that this whole year. You also need to you're probably going to need to continue to win the turnover battles at the rate you've been doing it. So that's what goes into Chicago. But if you can
do it, it's not like there was a huge unsustainable turnover differential against Green Bay, right? They were even in that game on turnovers, and they were still very close.
I completely agree. What I'm saying is for them to go on a run, I think that this version of the Bears is going to need to continue to win the turnover battle. You're going to need Caleb to make those big plays. And really, we're looking at an unbelievable success of the season. This is... Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, there is, I think, one other thing to keep an eye on for Chicago, actually, that could be an alternative to that.
Okay.
From what we've seen this season so far, I am keeping a very close eye on what Luther Burden is going to be able to do for Chicago. He's already effectively taken over the DJ Moore job. I know a Bears fan blog this morning ran a post that said DJ Moore's dead weight. And I'm not going to say exactly that about DJ Moore. But I think we've seen over the course of this season, I know he doesn't even have 400 yards on the year, but Luther Burden might be the most dangerous player with the ball in his hands for this team. He showed up huge against Pittsburgh, if you remember that a couple of times. If the Bears are able to get a breakout weapon who can help out on the offense, especially after catch, I think that could make up for some of these weaknesses that we've seen and help them if they're not able to generate a huge turnover lead, or if Caleb can't complete the 40-yard bombs Jordan Love was last night.
The DJ Moore drop-off has been surprising this year. And it's not, maybe it would have been unfair to expect him to return. He had nearly 1,400 yards 2 years ago, dropped down to just shy of 1,000 last year. What may be unfair to expect him to return to that 1,400-yard DJ Moore. I don't think a lot of people saw this coming, though. He's basically non-existent in that offense at this time. The past 5 weeks, 0 receiving yards, 18, 64, 17. He had -4 receiving yards yesterday, DJ Moore. So I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, Luther Burden, one way or another, is going to need to step up for the Chicago team, who should have their eyes. Right? If you're a Chicago fan, just because you lost yesterday, your eyes should still be on this season. And can we make a run here? I think Chicago, though, a big takeaway that I had, and one that a lot of people probably should have, is this Packers-Bears rivalry over the next handful of seasons is going to get really good. The Bears are in great hands. The Packers have a young quarterback. Love, is not young, but still relatively young. The Bears are here. The Bears are going to be good. They're going to be contenders. Next year, I think a lot of Chicago fans are going to go into the season with high expectations. But yeah, they very easily could have won that game yesterday. So right now, when you look at the Chicago playoff case in the standings here, they fell from the 1 seed to the 7 seed yesterday, which just kind of shows how crazy this NFC race is. But they're 9-4. Detroit is 8-5, right on their tails. They play again in Chicago. Detroit would have the tiebreaker if they win that game. Where's your confidence level if you're a Bears fan?
My confidence level is high.
Really? To get in? It's high?
Yes. There's a reason why the numbers projectors have the Bears at a 70% chance to win no matter what. Realistically, for the Bears, They just have to win 2 games and they're in. It's very hard for Detroit to catch up if they win 2. Even if they drop the game to Detroit and Green Bay, they're still more likely than not by a good margin to make the playoffs. Funny enough, actually, even if they drop the Green Bay and Detroit games, they technically have a chance to win the division. But Chicago is in a very comfortable spot to make the playoffs here. Now, you need to go 2-2. You have to beat the Browns, I think, no question. And they need to beat one of the 3 teams left on your schedule. But I think Chicago has shown up until this point. That's a very realistic expectation.
Well, if you have to go 2-2, but you need the Rams to beat the Lions here. That's what you need. Like, you need the Rams to beat the Lions, I think, to start feeling good if you're a Bears fan.
Even if the Lions win, the Bears have a very good chance of making it in.
I don't know, man. So wait a second. So the both teams' schedules here, looking forward. Chicago has Cleveland at home, Green Bay at home, the Niners at home, the Niners on the road, the Lions at home. Okay? And Detroit has at the Rams versus the Steelers, at the Vikings, at the Bears. So my guess from that Lions schedule, if right now Detroit is an 8-5 team, I think they lose to the Rams, drop to 8-6, win their next 2. They're 10-6 to me going into that final game against Chicago. The Bears' only way to have it locked up is for them to have 12 wins at that point in time. So they need to win their next 3. Otherwise, the Lions would have the tiebreaker with a win. Right?
But I mean, look, that's asking a lot from Detroit here.
No, it's not. You're asking, from Detroit. You're saying you lose to the Rams and then beat Pittsburgh at home and beat the Vikings on the road. I mean, I think if they do that and Chicago loses just one of their next 3 to Cleveland, Green Bay, or the 49ers, that Lion game becomes a playoff game. Assuming if Green Bay could hold on to the division lead, which is not written in stone.
Yeah, I mean, this is assuming also that Green Bay is more or less winning out their season.
I think Chicago. I think Chicago's in trouble, is what I think. Like, I think they should have their eyes on getting to the playoffs and trying to make a run. I think they're capable of it, but I think they're in trouble because I think San Francisco is going to comfortably get in. I think Green Bay will win the North, and then I see Chicago. I see the Lions getting in. And this is not like anti-Bears or anything. I think it favors Chicago. I think it favors Detroit nicely. Now, there's one way that the Bears can basically end all this discussion, and it's just beat Detroit the last week of the season. I mean, they control their destiny still. So it's and you're at home too, so you have that going for you. That's just where my brain goes to. Yeah, I probably favor Detroit right now, and I don't think that's crazy. On the Green Bay side of things, has Jordan Love, you think he's in the MVP mix right now? He's 3rd in odds behind Drake May and Stafford, who are pretty well above him. But he's climbing that board, and I mean, 4 in a row for Green Bay. If they get the 1 seed, you got to think we could start, like, this conversation could get serious.
I mean, it's going to be hard for Detroit, or it's going to be hard for Jordan Love to get in that conversation just because Drake May effectively is the 1 seed in the AFC locked up. I know the Broncos could catch up, but I expect the Patriots to get that. So he needs to jump 1 seed, Patriots elevating Drake May, and he needs to jump Matthew Stafford, who has played extremely good football throughout the year. And it's like he's got a decent chance of leading the Rams to the 1 seed too. So really you need a collapse from both the Patriots and the Rams. If this were like the Heisman Trophy, I would say Jordan Love is a lock to be invited to New York. He's guaranteed, I think, in that top 3. I don't think Josh Allen is going to jump him. But I think there's a huge gap between Jordan Love, not in terms of how he's played. I think Jordan Love has had as good a season as anyone in the NFL. But I think there's just going to be a gap perception-wise for Jordan Love getting up, particularly to Stafford and the Rams. I mean, through this point in the season, Matthew Stafford has thrown 35 touchdowns. That's just hard to compete with.
Yeah, maybe even the better question than just, Love being an MVP candidate is, has Love earned back the trust of Packers fans, which I think was a little shaky after a couple of the losses. Whether it should or shouldn't have been is a separate discussion.
I I mean, you have got to have confidence in Jordan Love. I think the only reason he's not in the MVP conversation is because the Packers favor giving him high efficiency on lower volume. Not necessarily Sam Darnold level low volume, but like he doesn't come out and throw the ball 35 or 40 times a game most of the time because the Packers don't need it. And that's not how they play. But if you don't have confidence that Jordan Love can play as well as anyone in the NFL after what we've seen over the past 2.5 seasons, I'm not really sure what to tell you. His deep ball is among the best in the NFL. He's generally accurate. He makes good decisions. He leads a very efficient offense. And it's not like Jordan Love has plenty of talent on this Green Bay team, but it's not like he's in Cincinnati with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to throw the ball to. He is responsible for a lot of the production you're getting out of this Green Bay offense.
Yeah, I thought he was awesome yesterday again. And I can't, I give him so much credit for once again this year. Now, he has 4 game-winning drives this season. We were talking about this before we started. That is 4th in the league behind Bryce and Caleb, who are tied with, I believe, 5. And then who was first? Was it who was first in the league? It was Bryce and Caleb both had 5, and then 6 was Bo Nix. Bo Nix was number 1. So
I mean, has there been a time this year where there's been one drive the Packers have said, Jordan, we need you to go down the field and score, and they haven't?
No, I mean, even
that Panthers game, as much of a debacle as that was offensively, and it was. Last drive of the game for the Packers, you're down 13-6. They say, Jordan, we haven't done anything all game. Can you bail us out? He throws for like 60 yards and moves him down the field for a Josh Jacobs touchdown run.
Yeah, he did it against the Panthers. I mean, against the Browns, right? He did it, and then they ultimately had the field goal blocked. That's why they lost that game. He had the 2 drives against Dallas, even though that game ended in a tie, but they sent it to overtime and then took the lead. The Packers defense, the Packers just weren't able to punch it in at the end because of clock management. You had the gutsy 4th down call they converted against the Cardinals, against the Bengals, right? The pass to Matthew Golden to put the game away in critical crunch time. They did it against the Giants. He's been awesome when it matters most. And this week was the same case after a 17-play touchdown drive from Chicago to tie the game at 21. That's a spot where if you're a Packer fan in Lambeau Field watching the game, your palms start to sweat a little bit. And maybe if you won't admit it, but for the first time, you're starting to think, we could lose this game. If we go 3 and out like we did on our last drive, give the ball back to Chicago, I'm not sure we're getting it back with this game being tied right now.
And with the way Chicago's run game is.
And with the way Chicago scored on 3 straight drives, they go 8 plays in 4.5 minutes, touchdown, to take the lead. I mean, that's as big time as it gets. And maybe it's too late for him to be a serious MVP candidate, but the Packers have bigger expectations and bigger goals right now than Jordan Love winning MVP.
Yeah. Ask the Packers whether they'd rather have their quarterback win a bunch of MVPs or win a Super Bowl. They know better than anyone which one you want.
Yeah. So you're just encouraged by it hasn't been something that's recently happened with Love. This has been all year. He's delivered when it's mattered. And I wouldn't be surprised at all come playoff time if the Packers need a big time drive, Jordan Love has ball in his hands and he delivers, because you're going to need that at some point when you win a Super Bowl. Now, I just want to say, Ziggy, because we were talking about why I'm comfortable the Packers are probably going to win the division. I mean, this was just such a massive game. Green Bay they're 9-3-1 now, right? And we said Detroit's 8-5. So you're a game and a half up on Detroit. That's effectively a 2-game lead. You're now half a game up on Chicago. The Packers play Chicago again in 2 weeks. I think they're going to win that game. So if they do win that game, right, they're also a game and a half up on Chicago. Now all you really need to do is win 2 of the 3 against in Minnesota versus Baltimore at Denver. Now,
that'll be pretty tough. I mean, you saw what the Minnesota Vikings just did.
No, and it's not a given. But I just think if you're a Packer fan, and I told you at the beginning of the year, those 3 games, you have a game and a half lead, right? And that's assuming that the Bears and Lions win out from there. I think you sign up for that every single time. So I'm confident.
Even if you don't win the division, you probably still make the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm just confident, assuming they win in Chicago, which again, you can't assume anything, especially this NFL season. But if my prediction holds out there, Green Bay is in a very good spot to win the division. So that's my expectation. Now the 1 seed chases on with the 49er or with the Seahawks. I guess the 49ers can be in there, but with the Seahawks and the Rams. What was your question?
You're in a funny spot I was just gonna say, you're in a funny spot as a Green Bay fan this week. Like the Lions are threatening for the division, so you kind of want them to lose, but also you really want that 1 seed, so you kind of want them to win and take the Rams down a win. Like it's a win-win or a lose-lose, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, and it's especially because the Rams should probably win. The Rams after that Lions game, and the schedule game, I know people may not like it, but I enjoy it.
But they'll beat Atlanta and Arizona.
Yeah, they'll beat Atlanta and Arizona. So the only other opportunity you really have for the Rams to lose is against the Seahawks.
who also want that 1 seed in their last 2 games. They've got the Colts this week, which, I loved Riley Leonard when he was at Notre Dame, but good luck. They've got the Panthers and then in San Francisco. So it's going to be a really tight race for the 1 seed.
So that's where it gets a little shaky here. Do you want to roll the dice and hope that Detroit wins that game and you're now in the 1 seed? Now you're really in the 1 seed conversation, so you could root for the Rams to upset the Seahawks, and it starts to get a little convoluted and conflicting with your rooting interests here. But especially because you expect the Lions to win at home against the Steelers and against the Vikings, and all of a sudden now, I think I'd actually root for Detroit if I were a Green Bay fan.
Well, if the Lions win, this also helps you with respect to your common opponent win percentage, which is an important tiebreaker between divisions.
Well, they don't even need a tiebreaker because they got the tie.
Oh yeah, I guess that's right. This tie is just messing everything up. It makes things easier in some ways, harder in others. But I think in Green Bay, they're not thinking about that at all. They're thinking we have to go to Denver, and if we lose this game, it sounds crazy at like 9-4-1, but our playoff picture is in jeopardy if we lose.
That's what's unbelievable. These are
the margins. As if they win, the 1 seed is on. It's like the NFC North last year, right? The Vikings. If we win, the 1 seed's on. If we lose, we might miss the playoffs.
But we were never missing the playoffs. That's like with the Vikings.
No, we missed the playoffs last year, right?
Yeah. No, but that's what's even more absurd about this season is, well, the Vikings had 14 wins. That's just ridiculous. But let's not get into that. But yeah, this season the Bears are now, they win that game to the 1 seed, and now they're fighting for their life with Detroit. It's amazing how close this race is going to be. I'll ask you basically the question that you that you proposed before the show. The NFC West or the field in the NFC right now?
For the playoffs or for the Super Bowl?
To get to the Super Bowl.
This is a tough one. Really, what you're asking me is the NFC North and the Eagles, because I'm going to completely discount the NFC South. None of those teams are going.
Yeah, Tampa's screwed, and
Tampa might not make the playoffs. Carolina could be in the playoffs.
Yeah, it could be Carolina. So, yeah, it would be the Rams, Seahawks, Niners, or Packers, let's say Lions/Bears, 49, and Philly.
Yeah, well, we can include all the NFC North because I'm not sure all 3 of those NFC West teams are going to make it either.
Sure.
But from what we have seen this season, honestly, if you asked me Rams or the field, I'd be sorely tempted to take the Rams.
Oh, so you're taking NFC West then?
Easily. I think there's only been one team in the NFL that has consistently played on a higher level than everyone else, and that is Los Angeles. Even in that loss to Carolina, I know that was a miserable loss. But the Rams offense was much better that game. Matthew Stafford had some uncharacteristic interceptions. And given that he's thrown 4 all year and 2 were in that game, I'm comfortable saying that was uncharacteristic. The Rams have played great football year in, year out. They've dominated good teams. They've dominated bad teams. They've lost 1 game since the start of October. I think that the Rams are the best team in the NFL right now. The Seahawks, that's just like a consolation prize. Nice. They just beat the Falcons. Maybe they'll be able to go on a run with Darnold. I'm not sure I see it. The 49ers, who knows if they'll even make it. I think they probably won't. But I'm taking the Rams over anyone else. So I'll take the NFC West for free.
Yeah, I guess it depends how it falls. If you expect the Seahawks to be the 5 seed, they would play Tampa and beat Tampa probably. And if the Rams are the 1, then you're automatically getting one of those teams into the NFC Championship.
So you've now got half the team.
So yes. So now, and you're assuming the Rams probably win at home. So it's the Rams hosting one of those people. For that reason, I would probably take the NFC West as well and go with the Rams to win at home and get to the Super Bowl. But I will say this, if we were ignoring that, like really diving into and kind of, we're looking at what's going to happen with the matchups there, I would take the field otherwise, because I rank my Super Bowl contenders: Rams, Packers, Eagles, Lions, Seahawks, 49ers. And then, Bears, I'd probably put the Bears, honestly, below or right above San Francisco, maybe.
I have the Bears above San Francisco, though that we are going to be treated to some great matchups. It's like the Bears the last 2 weeks will be against the two teams they're competing with hard spots for. So it is, if you're a Chicago fan, the Bears have been in basically every game they've played this season other than the game against the Tyler Huntley Ravens. That's the only game they haven't been in all year, and the Lions game at the start of the year. They will get to play down to the wire and get to decide their fate here. But as I say, I think the Rams are just a class above, so that's who I got to take.
Yeah, that's one more thing to point out for Chicago fans who maybe some Bears fans listening have yelled at the phone screen or the computer right now. The Bears
can turn us off already.
Yeah, the Bears can beat the 49ers, and now they're a game up with the tiebreaker. So, I mean, that's another spot where Chicago, as far as the playoff case, it's not just beat out the Lions. It's not just Detroit or bust. San Francisco now, like their next 2 weeks are hosting Tennessee and at the Colts, who look a lot different without Daniel Jones under center. You got to think those are probably wins, but Chicago's got different avenues here. They really do. I mean, they control their destiny for everything but the 1 seed over the Rams at this point. So, I still think they probably fall just a little bit short. I just don't see Seattle going on a Super Bowl run. I think they're close. I think they're going to be a threat for a couple years now. They're a very good football team. I know they just won 37-9 or whatever it was. I just think that one of these defenses is going to get to Darnold in one of these games. No shade at Sam, like his unbelievable year. That's just my expectation. So I would lean Rams go to the Super Bowl. But if we're not manipulating the playoff matchups, then I would take the field. So, all right, we got what do you want to do? You want to do Commanders-Vikings? Or you want to bounce around to other teams first?
Maybe. Well, let's wrap up the NFC North here with Commanders-Vikings.
Okay, so the Vikings win 31-0 in. They're the first team, I believe, to have been shut out and then shut out an opponent, if not ever in a long time.
If it wasn't the Minnesota, the only other team I can imagine doing this is the Minnesota Vikings. And I do have to say, it is nice that we took McCarthyism to the commies.
Yeah, okay. It was our largest margin of victory in a shutout since 1980, which is, this felt good. And a lot of people were wondering if we'd be upset because the Vikings are just completely ruining their tankathon. And let's see, where are we in the tankathon now? It has to just be a disgusting number in the draft.
Probably 13 or 14.
We're 11. And a loss would have put us... So we didn't move
at all, actually.
A loss would have put us probably up to 8, I think. Gosh, a loss would have been awesome. But a loss would have put us up to 8. Now, we're going to be the 12th pick in the draft. That's basically what's going to happen. We'll end up somewhere at 11 or 12, which is just horrible. That's what we do. That's what we do as the Vikings. So let's just forget that even matters, because that's going to, you could write that in stone right now. I was really, really happy to see the team respond this way. And Harrison Smith got pretty emotional in the locker room after the game. He had an interception. He's the most among active players in the league right now. And they said, what was the message before the game? He said, KO came out and basically said, just play, think about that high school kid and what he would think of this opportunity to play in the NFL. And it really seemed to strike a chord with the team. I'm assuming Harrison Smith is a good representation for how a lot of the team felt. And when the team comes out and plays that way, it seemed like that message got through. And I was really happy with the response from the team. It's easy to give up when you're having the season they're having.
I gave up.
Yeah, you haven't scored in 22 drives on offense, a touchdown. It has just been brutal. And McCarthy comes out, has the best game of his career, highest completion percentage, most touchdown passes, no turnovers for the first time in his career. It was just an awesome response. Now let's see JJ string it together, because we've seen big moments against Chicago. We saw big moments against Detroit, and they've been followed up with just absolute clunkers. So if we can start seeing some consistent play from JJ, now this is what I've been talking about this whole season, or the second half of the season, of let's not judge him till we see the full body of work. And if this continues, we're feeling a little bit more confident. Maybe we're not totally reassured, but we're feeling a little bit better about 2026.
So my first question, I watched the Vikings game. I didn't get a clear idea of what was going on. I went back and I had to see, like, why did this happen? Because this wasn't JJ McCarthy playing like okay and having a decent performance. This was him putting up the best Vikings quarterback performance of the year by a huge margin, and one of the better quarterback performances of the season, just like of anyone in terms of the efficiency numbers. So I thought, what happened here? And Kevin O'Connell said before the game, like, look, we've been asking him to focus on mechanics. We've been asking him to focus on decision making. We're getting rid of all of that. We're just going to have him go out there and play and see what happened. And sure enough, right, JJ McCarthy threw the ball in like the shortest amount of time he ever had. He was more accurate. The only game he was more accurate this season was week 1 against Chicago, which, as you said, was weird. He threw the ball in appropriate depth of the field. Like, JJ McCarthy played well when he was asked to focus on less. Then I started looking at the Commanders defense, and I wondered, like, what's changed about the Commanders, right? Because the Commanders defense hasn't been good all year. The injuries have added up. Drew Brees was talking on this broadcast about how they were playing almost entirely like zone coverage with 2 high shells. Do you know what percentage of their dropbacks, excluding garbage time, were zone coverage this game?
No.
Take a guess.
80%.
100%. They ran zone coverage every single non-garbage time play, and they ran 2 high on 65% of those. So, like, again, playing well against an easy-to-read defense is good, right? JJ McCarthy, up until this point, hasn't played good against any kind of
Take
defense.
your wins.
But when you talk about building on it, does this give me a lot more confidence that when Kevin O'Connell dramatically simplified the offense, the Commanders dramatically simplified their defense? It's nice to see something good, and I'm glad the defense played good. The offensive line played really well. Like, there was a lot to like about this game. I'm not much more confident about JJ McCarthy than I was before.
Yeah, and that's a fair. I think that's a fair takeaway from the game. But but the first point you made too, we have to just take the wins. I think, and it was stripped down to the basics. You heard T.J. Hawkinson talk about it and not wanting it to be stripped down as a competitor. But, they're doing what's necessary. Aaron Jones spoke about it. It was like he said, that's not me. Aaron Jones wasn't trying to throw shade at JJ McCarthy, but he was like, it's not me. I'm not the reason for this. But yeah, sometimes guys have a little bit of trouble with the football terminology. And all week I'm like, this is not the kind of things you want to be hearing from the rest of the team of how, JJ just can't do it. But when you walk away with the win, even Jefferson, who had 11 yards or whatever it was, he said, I'd rather not get targeted in a win than not get targeted in a loss. Winning does cure all. And it's something that I hope...
Unless you're A.J. Brown.
Yeah, unless you're A.J. Brown. I hope it's something that we can look at and say, kind of similar to the game itself, where, establish the run, some short passes, and then all of a sudden, JJ's a little bit more confident when he's throwing a deep out route or a deep comeback.
He was 1 for 2 on deep passes this game.
Sure.
No. I'm not saying that's bad. At least he completed one. But this is what I mean when I say there was the deep Jefferson incompletion and there was the 21-yard Addison completion.
Yeah,
they didn't ask a lot from this game, and he delivered on what they asked. Which hasn't happened all year.
I'm not even asking for 20 plus yards downfield, which I guess would classify as deep. I'm even saying intermediate throws. You didn't see the just egregious overthrows to the sideline to this week. They were completed. And I wonder if part of that is just because they eased him into the game nicer, because he was missing wide open throws for the past few weeks. And the run game obviously helps. So it's a good, I think we're in a good spot as far as this week goes. Let's see how it happens a week from Sunday. Now, very quickly, Jayden Daniels injured his elbow again on the Andrew Van Ginkel, who's just unbelievable at reading those quick passes. Jayden Daniels got hurt going back to try to make the tackle, re-injuring the same elbow that had the gruesome injury a couple weeks ago. if you're Washington, they said he could have gone back in the game and Dan Quinn shut him down. I think I'm just shutting him down for the season, Ziggy.
Well, Dan Quinn said they're not going to do that. He said he guarantees Jayden Daniels is playing games again this season.
Look, I understand it's football. You're a competitor. You go out there. You want to play in these games. Joe Burrow said on Thanksgiving, I love playing football. I totally get it. The Commanders are 3-10 right now. They're totally out of it. Daniels has been injury prone all year. Shut him down.
So I don't agree with this.
I know.
Jayden Daniels let me at least tell you, he's a second-year quarterback. He needs reps. I'm not worried about the long-term health of his non-throwing elbow being a little bit swollen, right? We're not talking about knees or ankles or throwing shoulder or concussions or anything like that. Like, Jayden Daniels is a young QB that needs reps, and he has not had the best season. If his if his elbow is healthy and he can play, he needs reps.
Yeah.
I'm not shutting him down because his non-throwing elbow was swollen last week.
You put him out there, then I know he plays aggressively. He took a lot of hits yesterday. He has to play smarter. He's too injury prone to play the way he does. And look, if it's a third down, gotta have it. Okay, lower the shoulder, go do it. You have to. He can't take these hits. He's gonna keep getting hurt. If you don't want to shut him down, there just has to be a very serious, strict conversation of, Jayden, you got to protect yourself. Like, you are, one, for your own well-being, okay? And two, the team needs you. And he cannot get hurt. If he tears his ACL or something at the end here, or break, the elbow injury is significantly worse, that's just really bad. I know it's his non-throwing elbow. He's too valuable to this team to just be thrown out and play the way he's been playing. Now, I guess that's all we really need to get into on that. It's like agree, disagree kind of a thing. I get what you're saying. You put him out there, let him get the reps. I'd probably shut him down. If he goes out there, though, he just has to be sliding. He has to find a way to reduce the hits. So, speaking of a quarterback who's been dealing with injuries this year, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens fall to the Steelers. Jack is not fully back on board the Steelers playoff train here, but I think he always feels good about going into Baltimore and winning. The Steelers Ravens are weird. It seems like whenever a lot of people were picking Baltimore to win this one, Pittsburgh hasn't looked good, and all of a sudden, Steelers jump out to a 17-3 lead in this game. But a lot of it's due to Baltimore errors, right? You have Lamar's interception earlier in the game, and then it's about to be 13-3. The Ravens have a penalty on a field goal attempt, give the Steelers another opportunity to punch it in, and then they do. They run in with the Goombawale. Not Goombawale, I'm sorry. I don't think it was Warren either. I think Gainwell got in.
Gainwell got that rushing touchdown.
Goombawale is a Texan. To make it 17-3. And you start having this comeback from Baltimore in the second half. The Steelers basically forget how to play offense and go 3 and out essentially the entirety of the fourth quarter, and Baltimore just slowly starts chipping away. And it leads up to this pivotal moment, Ziggy, 27-22. There's 2:47 left in the fourth quarter, and Isaiah Likely seemingly catches the go-ahead touchdown pass to make it 28-27. Baltimore's about to go for 2. Gets 2 feet down, maybe an extension of maybe he's holding that football out before it's punched out. They rule it incomplete. And Baltimore winds up turning it over on downs, losing the game. Did you think that was the right call?
I don't know how to adjudicate whether or not you're controlling the ball going down. I know players on the Ravens believed it was a touchdown. I know Joey Porter Jr. was very happy it wasn't called a touchdown. And I know similarly, there was an issue earlier in the game with the Teddy Buchanan batted pass. There was just a lot of him batting it back to Rodgers. There was a lot of weird stuff with the refs this game. But I'm less worried about that particular call. I'm more worried about what is going on with Lamar Jackson. Since coming back from injury, Lamar has not been himself. I don't know if there's a lingering injury still. I don't know if it's just coincidence.
Oh, I can tell you.
I
can tell you right now. I traded for him in fantasy.
Oh, well, if I didn't know that, I don't know why.
No, I'm not kidding.
Before the show.
Before this game, I traded for him in fantasy. He had 1 passing touchdown the week I traded for him, And it's then the first time in his career he's had 0 passing touchdowns. And by the way, 0 rushing this entire time too. So that if you want to look
yesterday,
until yesterday, yeah. If you want to look at the cause of what's happening with Lamar Jackson, look no further than I made a trade for him in fantasy football. But go ahead, continue.
Well, it is. This may well be an explanation because it seems inexplicable to me that Lamar Jackson is playing, honestly, some of the worst football of his career since his first season.
Yeah.
When the Ravens really need him to. But I don't think it's going to continue into next year. But if the Ravens fighting for a playoff spot and still in the race for a division, right? They get to play the Steelers for week 18, right? They can even that up. The Steelers, I'm not confident, are going to win out. The Ravens have some winnable games coming up, some hard games too. It's not an easy schedule, but they could win them. If Lamar plays like this, though, they won't. And the Ravens need him to get better immediately. And a lot of why I was so confident the Ravens would come back and dominate this division is because I thought once Lamar is back, the offense is going to be totally fixed. It's not, and they're out of time to fix it.
Yeah, he looks completely different from the Lamar we're all used to. It's
he
so
has
different.
To be hurt, right? Something's just not right. The way he's walking on these dropbacks, the throws.
No, his hamstring, right? That's what he's been dealing with most of the season. It's gotta be flaring up. It's bizarre watching this because he's so dynamic and he's just been so good for so long, right? I mean, we're talking about a 2-time, nearly 3-time NFL MVP here. It's not like he forgot how to play football. There's got to be something going on here, but I look at the Ravens.
Horrible timing for a slump, though.
Oh, I look at the Ravens. They're the 9 seed right now at 6-7. Yeah, you're still in it because the Steelers are 7-6 here, but you go into Pittsburgh. That's not a place where the Ravens have a ton of success. I mean, I get that the NFC North is weird and you never really know with these games. But
yeah, but if you're Pittsburgh, you get to play the Dolphins, the Lions, the Browns, and the Ravens, right? So we'll equalize that week 18 game. You get Browns, Dolphins, Lions versus Bengals, Patriots, Packers. One of those is clearly harder than the other.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't want to be a game down with the Ravens looking ahead at 3 games against the 1 seed in the AFC, what could be the 1 seed in the NFC by the time December 28th rolls around, and Joe Burrow, who, despite an inexplicable collapse, almost beat the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo in a snowstorm.
Well, we know why he collapsed there, and we'll get to that in just a moment here. I think the Ravens are in a lot of trouble. Even if they get in, the way they're playing right now is it's not nearly good enough, despite the field in the AFC and how they're the inexperience. It's just not good
going
enough.
On the road to Denver or New England and playing.
No, I don't. I actually don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think the Steelers are actually going to win the division. Amazingly, they'll probably. Well, and we know they'll be 9-8 probably. But I like Pittsburgh to win that. And if you got Pittsburgh, Buffalo, and it could wind up being Houston with the way the Texans are playing right now. Could be Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, Buffalo. I expect Buffalo to win that game, but in Pittsburgh, I know they just went in there and won. In Pittsburgh for a playoff game gives the Steelers by far the best chance they've had here in 10 years of winning a playoff game since, maybe what they were hosting the Browns, right? When Cleveland had to come back. But
if you're the Pittsburgh in this game, you did see why we brought in Aaron Rodgers to play football for us this year. Yeah. Right. He had very few big mistakes. I don't believe he took any sacks. He had 0 turnovers. But he added value on the ground. He had a rushing touchdown. He was about as effective rushing as Lamar Jackson, and he had a couple big throws.
They didn't have a throw completed that went 20 plus yards in the air in all of November until yesterday. And DK Metcalf finally showed up.
Aaron Rodgers, MVP Green Bay Packers, you'd be worried if they go a game without 20-yard throws. But he can still do it.
Yeah, and DK finally showed up. He had 7 receptions for 148 yards. He was really good. I mean, you see the long passes in this game. DK 52-yarder. Warren had the 38-yarder. Now, I know that was just a little swing pass out that he took. Calvin Austin had a big 31-yard completion as well. That was the play
to DK.
Yeah, and that the Austin play was the play before the Warren touchdown. When you open up the deep passing attack as a threat, that creates opportunities elsewhere, and the Steelers were able to take advantage of it. I don't think the Steelers are a massive threat by any means, but it's fun, at least for Jack too. It's fun seeing them potentially win a division, not just be the road team in the playoff game in Buffalo and get blasted.
I mean, I will just say this. I thought the Aaron Rodgers acquisition, you can go back and watch, it would be a disaster and the Steelers would miss the playoffs and it would get everyone fired. They're going to be better than that.
It's shocking right now that with the Baltimore loss, if you don't think the Ravens are making the playoffs, we're probably sitting here looking at Baltimore and Lamar, Burrow and the Bengals, and very possibly Mahomes and Kansas City all outside looking in. We'll get to the Chiefs in a second. The Bengals,
very possibly, very
likely. The Bengals, I thought, were just a huge loser on Sunday because they're rooting for Baltimore because of the opportunity they have playing them again. They could have the tiebreaker, and at one point, you're watching that game. You're watching the Bengals game, and you're up double digits a lot of that game, and you're thinking if Baltimore can complete this comeback, we have a real shot at the division. Like a real shot. And inexplicably, yes, with the game at 28-25, I believe it was the Bengals, right? Yeah, sorry. So let's just go here. 8:44 left in the fourth quarter.
Burrow 28-18.
Burrow hits Gesicki for a touchdown to make it 28-18. Really fun game in the snow too. Like just one of those awesome football games in December that people love. The Bills hadn't lost a home game in December in 4 years. 28-18, under 9 minutes to go. And Buffalo responds immediately. Like basically a minute and 11 seconds. Josh Allen has a 40-yard touchdown run. Cuts the lead to 28-25. Bengals drive down to the 33-yard line. And they've been moving up and down the field all day. I mean, they had 28 points. And all of a sudden, with 5:37 left, Burrow goes to throw just a little quick pass out. I don't know who. I think it's to Chase. And the ball, he just loses control of the ball. It just goes right up in the air. And Christian Benford.
It was an unbelievable play from Benford on that play. He jumped higher than I would have thought.
The ball did slip out, though, right?
I couldn't tell if it slipped out, if he was trying to throw. He'd been throwing some lobby passes that day.
Maybe he tried to lob it, but it came out weird.
Villanova Wildcat Christian Benford just jumps 20 feet in the air and comes down with it.
And he picks it off and returns it for a touchdown to make it 32-28 Buffalo. The Bengals.
But it's fine. You got Joe Burrow. He's going to lead a game-winning drive. This is what he does. He's Joe Cool. He's not going to be rattled. And then what happens? Basically,
immediately after that, Jordan Phillips tips a pass and AJ Epinesa picks it off. Buffalo punches it in the end zone and puts the game out of reach. And that's it. That's it. Your season ends right there if you're a Cincinnati Bengals fan. And what happened right before the pick six was I texted Ziggy, Jack, and Zach, man, Burrow might just be the best player in the league, not named Myles Garrett. I may have even said Joe Burrow is clearly the best player in the league, not named Myles Garrett. And he crumbled within seconds of that text being sent out, which is just going to show whatever I touch turns to dust right now. So I'm sorry to the Cincinnati Bengals fans. I was really looking forward to Cincy getting on a run here. I thought the chase was going to be.
I think you predicted them to win the division on our last show.
I did. I thought they were going to beat Buffalo and wind up winning the division. And I actually think if they beat Buffalo,
it looks good. Weirdly, as strange as that is to say.
Maybe it's not good. I don't know if they had the tiebreaker over Pittsburgh or not, but I thought Baltimore would beat the Steelers, and I thought the Bengals would beat the Bills, and then it was on for Cincy. Now it's over. I mean, you're done here. I don't know what are they 4-9, right? They're 5-9.
No, they're 4-9.
Yeah, 4-9. It's
they're
over.
One game ahead of the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, it's over.
It's over.
And it's another really disappointing season if you're a Bengals fan, where Burrow's still, you still got a lot of time of Burrow's career, but it's the same story over and over again. It feels like with these injuries, and it's disappointing when you're wasting one of the best players, really ever in football, and you're wasting these years. So it's tough. It's tough sledding if you're a Bengals fan. The Bills get a big win. They're not going to catch New England, but you hold on to that, or I guess Denver right now is the 1 seed actually, but they're not going to be able to catch them in all likelihood. So you're looking at the Bills probably being the highest rated wild card team. The other all-time great quarterback who's struggling is Mahomes and the Chiefs, who came in at number 3 in our power rankings, courtesy of Ziggy this week. And the Texans beat them 20-10. But this game, we'll get to the Kansas City playoff picture in just a second. By the way,
this game was an absolute beatdown.
And by the way, if you're enjoying the show, please remember to shoot over a like, leave us a comment about what team. I'm assuming I know what team you root for, but how you're feeling, and subscribe as we're almost at 30,000. Let's see a very quick look in right now. A live count, 28,870. Almost there. We're almost there.
You could be one of the first 30,000 or the first 29,000.
So, yeah, you said a beatdown, but this game was 10-10 in the fourth quarter. And Kansas City, I mean, just a complete implosion from the Chiefs. Some very questionable decision making. And let's get into it. To start the fourth quarter, you have, just a deep pass from Mahomes on third down. It's picked off by the Texans. I kind of view that as a punt. That's their first drive in the fourth quarter, how it ends, whatever. The mind-boggling one to me, Ziggy, is you have 4th and 1 on your own 31-yard line with 10:22 left in the game. It's 10-10. Your defense has forced, let me just see if I get this right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight scoreless drives for Houston. One of them was the end of the half. So 6 straight punts from Houston. Those drives went 6 plays, punt, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 6 plays, punt. You're on your own 31-yard line. You go for it. Incomplete to Rashee Rice. You give the Texans the ball back. Again, your own 31-yard line. They go 6 plays, 31 yards, touchdown, 17-10. That wound up being the score that lost the game for KC. I understand 4th and 1. Like, we argue about this, right? I don't know if what the analytics said.
The analytics say it's very strong go for it.
I think this is one of the cases where me and you probably disagree. I'm assuming you would have gone for it.
Yes, probably.
I cannot believe, it's just unfathomable to me that in that game, tied at 10, when your defense is playing that way, and your offense also, by the way, has not been able to score, that you gifted Houston a scoring opportunity there.
Well, I think you understand why you go for it there. It's because of 5 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game. I know you can say that the Texans offense has struggled all game. Well, they got a touchdown on
No, not that drive. This was the drive.
You're talking about the 4th and 1, excuse me. Yeah, you're right. They punted. They didn't get a touchdown on the previous possession. But with like 8 or 9 minutes left in the game, how much time was left on the clock? I think it was like
10:44. 10 or maybe 10 minutes. 10 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, we'll call it 10 minutes. With 10 minutes left on the clock, if you give the ball to Houston, you want to have 2 possessions left in this game, or you at least don't want to give Houston 2 possessions.
You sound like the college football playoff committee right now.
No, look, your goal here is to try and keep as many possessions as you can to limit the number of possessions the Texans get.
Your goal here is to win the game.
Like this.
Your goal here is to win the game.
Well, wait, but how do you win the game? You win the game by minimizing the number of times the Texans get the ball.
I want to make sure, before we continue this discussion, that, like, I know you thought for a second I was talking about the other drive, which we'll get to in a moment, where they went for it on 4th and 4 and didn't complete it. I'm talking about...
We're talking about the 4th and 1. There's like 10 minutes left in the game.
10-10 on your own 31-yard line. Your defense has forced 6 straight punts. That drive, you'd go for it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, to me, if you don't get it, you give them a 48-yard field goal. And I mean, your offense has been horrible all night too, right? Like your offense is not, or at least has not been very good. I know they missed the field goal, and I think it's coaching malpractice. This is the exact definition to me of knowing the situation, right? We argue this feel for the game versus analytics. I think in this case, look at what's happening on the field. It's a terrible, terrible decision from Andy Reid. I think he lost them the game. I think that lost them the football game. And honestly, might cost them their season. It's that bad of a coaching decision to me. So anyway, after the Texans score, Chiefs get the ball back. Now we're looking at a situation where there's 5:26 left in the game. 4th and 4, they're on their own 41, and Rashee Rice just drops the football. He just drops football. I understand going for that one a little bit more. I think you had 2 timeouts at the time. that one makes a little bit more sense, but drops the football. Chiefs get a stop, get the football back, and on the second play of that drive, Kelsey, and now we're talking about 3.5 minutes left. Kelsey bobbles a pass, puts it up in the air. It's picked off by Houston. They kick a field goal and the game's over. So you saw, amazingly, in that stretch of time, Reed screw up, Rice screw up, Kelsey screw up. And that's kind of defined the Chiefs season. They just haven't been able to make the big plays when they needed to. And Houston walks away with another win to get to 8-5, Kansas City 6-7. And I mean, they're in real danger right now.
I mean, there's no doubt they're in danger. Their odds of making the playoffs right now, you'll get them at like plus 400 in Vegas.
Yeah.
Knows somewhere like minus 550. They are probably not going to make the playoffs. And you can wonder, should they have been more aggressive? Should you expect the Chiefs offense to improve a little bit? Is Mahomes really this bad? Probably not. But none of that matters at this point. You've lost too many football games to make the playoffs. They have no chance of winning the division.
They're eliminated.
If they win out, I guess you can start seeing them making the playoffs, but picking them, even if you want to write in the Titans and Raiders game as complete wins, beating the Chargers and the Broncos both at home is hard. And even if you win out, you're not guaranteed to make the playoffs like you would have been if you'd won this game. It's just Kansas City's season is probably over. And
shocking.
One thing I said at the start of this year was that we will look back and see the biggest achievement of the Chiefs dynasty, not as them winning all the Super Bowls they did or any particular year, but the most impressive year being them making the Super Bowl last year of what this roster was. It certainly looks like it now, as the Chiefs are struggling, even when they're fully healthy, even when basically everyone you can expect to have back in the season is back, even though guys are getting older. Like, the Chiefs are going to have to revamp the team significantly this offseason. There's no way around it.
Right now, what you're looking at is so the playoff picture. If we're thinking about their chances, the Texans are 8-5 with the tiebreaker. Houston's currently the 7th seed in the AFC. They have the Cardinals, Raiders, Chargers, and Colts coming up. So they're in. The Texans are in. The Bills will be in as the 5 seed. The Steelers or Ravens will be the 4. Jacksonville, let's just take a quick... Jacksonville will be above Kansas City because they had the tiebreaker 9-4, and then the Patriots and Broncos. So there's one spot here, really, that we're looking at in the AFC, and that's the Chargers as the 6th seed. The teams behind them are the Colts at 8-5, who are done without Danny Dimes, and the Chiefs have the tiebreaker over. The Ravens at 6-7, who the Chiefs have the tiebreaker over. And then the Dolphins are now 6-7. The Dolphins, they lost to the Chargers, right? In that crazy game?
So. Yeah.
Wow. Hold on a second. Had the Dolphins won that game,
they were 1-5 after that game.
When they were so they were 1-4 at that time. Oh my gosh. The Dolphins would have been 7-6 with the tiebreaker over the 8-5 Chargers. Oh my gosh, the Dolphins may have gone to the playoffs. Are you kidding me? What's the Dolphins schedule? At Pittsburgh, host the Bengals, host Tampa at New England. That's all right. That's I don't know.
No, but so this is.
But
I think the playoff picture. I know there's all these teams, the Colts, the Ravens, the Chiefs. We're talking about tiebreakers here. I think the playoff picture in the AFC is basically locked where it is. Maybe like the Ravens win the AFC North. I don't know. I think it's unlikely. But I think after what felt like a pile of uncertainty, we now know who's going to be in the playoffs of the AFC. I think it's the 7 teams that are in right now. Here's the one deciding factor. I just need to see. Let's go to like an NFL predictor model. I just want to see. Here's the playoff machine. Because the Chargers won in week 1 against the Chiefs. If the Chiefs were to win the next matchup between the two of them, who would have the tiebreaker? So let's say I'm just going to fill in a couple games real quick here, guys. The Chargers are currently undefeated in the division, right? They beat the Chiefs, they beat the Raiders twice, and they beat the Broncos.
Because it is division, right?
Yeah. Oh no, So it's the Chargers are very likely to have. They're currently 4-0 in the division,
and the Chiefs have lost to the Chargers and the Broncos.
Yeah, so if it gets to 4-2, which is technically possible, it starts getting complicated.
Well, wait. Who? So what's the next tiebreak? Is conference after that?
I believe so.
So conference is after that, because I'm looking at this situation here where the Chargers are 8-4, the Chiefs are 6-7.
Oh no, common games comes next, then conference.
Common games, okay. So if you're a Chiefs fan,
we're not going to do this.
No, we're not going to do it.
I'll tell you this: if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan, it is embarrassing that we're wondering, okay, if the Chiefs win out, do they have any chance of making the playoffs with tiebreakers?
Yeah, you need the Chargers to lose 3 of the final 5 here. I'm not ruling it out, though, because it's Philly at home tonight, at Kansas City, so you can make up one there, at Dallas, hosting the Texans, at Denver, who may be going for the 1 seed. Look, you're the Chargers, and this is before we know again who would have the tiebreaker. If the Chargers have the tiebreaker, I doubt they're losing 4 of those games. But they need, if you're the Chiefs right now, you need them to lose 3. And that's very possible. So it's not over, but it's very close to over here.
And look, we can think about the theoretical possibility of them making it and coming up with these situations. And there's some fun in that. But none of it matters if the Chiefs can't start playing, like if they can't start finding a way to get it done in these close games. This offensive performance from the Chiefs, a lot of people are going to look at this and say, see, the Chiefs offense was horrible all along. We knew it. The offense has played pretty well this game. But if you're looking at how things have gone since they blew out the Commanders, right? At that point, they were 5-3, and we thought, okay, the Chiefs are back. 1-score loss to the Bills, 1-score loss to the Broncos, overtime win over the Colts, 1-score loss to the Cowboys. And the Texans game, technically, it was a 10-point loss, but that was just because the interceptions added up.
Yeah.
Tied going into the fourth quarter, I'm calling this effectively a 1-score loss. They've lost 4 of their last 5 1-score games.
Yeah, they've been unluckier this year. But it's also, in addition to, I can't just say unlucky, they haven't made plays. And they were making them last year. So this is not a team that deserves to go to the playoffs. They're just not. So we'll see if the Chargers slip up here. A win tonight against the Eagles, and you start feeling pretty good if you're a Chargers fan. Now there are other teams in the mix still, right? The Ravens and the Colts are still there, even though that's how bad the Colts. Man, I feel so bad for really the Colts fans. Daniel Jones tears his Achilles. I mean, he's having this. He's having a great bounce back year, comeback play of the year kind of a season, and. Go ahead.
Well, I would say this is terrible for all parties involved.
Yeah.
It's terrible for Daniel Jones. Obviously, he's hurt first and foremost because he's probably not going to be ready for week 1 next year. So it would have looked like a hot quarterback market where he could get paid some big money. Now, I know Kirk signed that huge deal coming off the Achilles injury for us, but teams are going to be worried. For the Colts, this might have set them back years. Your hope was that Daniel Jones could take you into the playoffs this year without your first round pick. That like things could start going well. He could be your quarterback of the future. Now you have to go into this offseason not knowing, like, is Daniel Jones going to be able to play next year? How confident are we in him without training camp? Do we bring in competition? Like, do we draft a guy free agent? Like, there's just so many different ways things could go. Well, it looked like a relatively straightforward offseason. We traded for Sauce. Let's figure out how things work. Has now become this nightmare. And if you're a Colts fan, things just can't go your way at quarterback. Whenever things are looking up, something unexpected and devastating just takes your quarterback out from under you. And now the Colts and their fans and Daniel Jones are all in a brutal spot going into next year.
I feel so bad for Colts fans. Our buddy Tommy Cassius, big Colts fan. They're 8-2. And it's not a fake
7-1, and you missed the playoffs.
But it wasn't even a fake 7-1 or fake 7-2 because you could run through the schedule and you're like, okay, Miami, Tennessee, the Raiders, the Cardinals,
they were a borderline
Tennessee
top
again,
10 team in the NFL.
Atlanta. But when you watch they were kicking ass, and then their loss in LA. If AD Mitchell doesn't have a couple unfortunate plays, they're probably winning that one. They beat Denver. They just mollywopped the Chargers in LA. Like, this was a very good team, and you're beating the Chiefs 20-9. right? You're up 20-9 in that game in, I think, the third quarter, right? Or fourth quarter. Fourth quarter, you have the ball 20-9, 8-3, or you're 8-2, with a chance to, get just a massive win that would be a tiebreaker right now. And from that moment, they've just had everything go against them that could possibly go against them. They lost that in overtime, lose the Texans by 4, lose to Jacksonville, quarterback's out for the year. Season's effectively over. It's just...
and now you have the single hardest by opponent win percentage remaining strength of schedule.
Yeah.
With the quarterback situation, it probably will be Riley Leonard rest of season. I hate to say it, I'm not sure I expect them to win any more games, maybe one more game. It feels after being 7-1 or 8-2, right? You have the 1 seed, right? Vegas says your odds of making the playoffs are so high, they're not even taking no bets. You're now going to miss the playoffs. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's sad for Andy. So, all right, we'll get ready to wrap it up there. Just very quick blasting through what else happened. The Seahawks absolutely destroyed the Falcons. Titans beat the Browns, which was I guess good for Tennessee. I thought the Browns defense that would dominate, and the Titans put up 31 points. So
they did have a plan against Myles Garrett after all. He only had 1 sack.
Yeah. No, I mean that's a nice win for the actually it's a horrible win for the Titans, but just in case they win,
now probably won't get the number 1 overall pick. But shout out Shedeur Sanders, shout out Harold Fandon Jr. The Browns had some highly productive rookies this game.
The Dolphins keep winning. They beat the Jets handily, 34-10. Saints. This was the shocker. The Saints beating the Bucs, who have just
shocker. It wasn't a shocker to me.
Well, maybe to me then. I mean,
in our preview, I picked the Saints to win. Before the game, I called Chicago Bears fan Weston and told him the Saints were going to win. This is the most obvious Saints win of all time.
Yeah, and the Bucs have lost now 4 or 5. It's I guess it's Carolina Panthers season.
Can I just get an apology from every single person who said Ziggy was wrong for saying the Bucs were a borderline top 10 team and probably on the other side of 10? I got so much hate.
You did get a lot.
You and Jack were saying they should be number 1 in the power rankings. And I was saying Baker cannot keep this up. I don't see it with this team. The Bucs are not it.
Nope, you were right. They stink. Right. And the Broncos beat the Raiders to take over the 1 seed now in the AFC at 11-2.
I do have one question for you, Paul.
Yes.
Does how right I was about the Bucs offset my Chiefs takes? Like, can we call it time served and I'm even here?
Yeah, I mean, your Chiefs takes are my Chiefs takes taken to another extent. Your Chiefs takes have gotten ridiculous because you took my reasonable take and have made it unreasonable. I follow the numbers, Paul. Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens with the power ranking. People will get mad if Kansas City's in there. No spoilers. I will say one final thing. I completely agree with Notre Dame's decision to skip the bowl game. I know people are upset about that. I think you disagree. I think you disagree with that.
You do not want to talk about Notre Dame on the air because I've been so disgusted from what I've seen with the University of Notre Dame over the past couple of days that I'm not sure I can be a fan of this team next year.
Oh, I think me and you just feel completely different about this.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame is gotten special treatment for years. They're still continuing to get special treatment, but we're whining because we didn't get as much special treatment as we wanted once. So now we're burning down the ACC. We're burning down the bowl system. We're saying F you to everyone because one thing didn't go our way after years of everything going our way. It's immature and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I totally disagree with you. I think that this was a situation where you had the College Football Playoff Committee completely lead on these kids, and they basically just rewrote their own rules over and over again, making no sense.
I'm not saying what happened. I'm not saying the committee did a good job. I'm saying Notre Dame had 3 hours of sympathy from me and the general public, and then lit it on fire with revealing we got a secret memorandum of understanding that gives us a legal right to get in the college football playoff if we're ranked a certain way. No one else has. Revealing that we're not going to play any bowl games because we don't care about anybody else unless we get put in the playoffs. Revealing that we think the ACC should have supported a team that's not even a member of the ACC for football. Like, what are we doing here? Well, Notre Dame has gotten ridiculous special treatment from the ACC and the College Football Playoff Committee for years. And it stops once one arguable thing goes against us, and now we're done with the whole system.
I don't think they got special treatment from the committee for years.
We absolutely do. The whole system of the at-large bids and the memorandum of understanding, the rest, they set up this system in part because they wanted to make sure Notre Dame was taken care of, because we're the one independent that matters.
Yeah, I mean, last year though, we couldn't have a bye. We couldn't have a bye because it was the conference champions.
That was our own AD's proposal.
I know, but I'm saying
Notre
that's
Dame
not special.
Was so favored by the system otherwise.
I know. I'm saying that wasn't
good enough, so they changed it.
That wasn't special treatment, though. That was something that they changed.
Special treatment has been Notre Dame getting the benefit of the doubt anytime there's a coin toss about who gets into the playoffs until just.
Has there been? I don't think there has been. When has there been one situation where it was like we were the 3 seed one year? We were undefeated and lost the ACC championship to Clemson, and we got in as the 4. We dropped 3 spots, right? Because you lose the ACC, you lose your championship game by a lot of points. You should drop. We fell from 2 to 4. Like, I think Notre Dame's been treated fairly. I'm not saying unfairly in previous years, but my viewpoint is if you come out and have the committee just completely abandon all logic, and you're Notre Dame saying like we got completely housed by the committee, by ESPN, by the ACC,
all logic by making a defensible choice you didn't like.
It was the way that they came about it was not logical at all. And I think a lot of people would agree that Alabama or Miami should not have been, like both of them should not have been in over the Irish. And I don't blame them for, so I don't blame the kids for the players for voting. We don't want to play in this game. Everyone's opting, like whether you like it or not, bowl games are becoming irrelevant. And I understand that people don't like that and they want to hold on to this. But for a team like Notre Dame where everyone's going to opt out, the team voted not to play.
Well, everybody else sucks it up and plays the bowl game.
No, not everyone.
It's good for the sport.
Kansas State's paying $500,000.
Kansas State is a completely different situation. Texas is sucking it up. Vanderbilt is sucking it up.
Yeah, they say
but
we love
Notre
football.
Dame doesn't have to.
Notre Dame doesn't have to. They don't have to. You don't have to. And if you get screwed over by the committee, I know the players did it probably because they're devastated. I mean, these are kids who are devastated because they were misled and mistreated by a committee of 12 people who are supposed to look out for players' best interests. I don't blame them for saying, screw this, we're not playing. And I wouldn't blame them if they came out and were like, screw this, we don't want to let ESPN get the money, which is not what they did. But I wouldn't blame them if that's what they did either. And the ACC question, because Notre Dame is, I'm guessing, going to pull out of the ACC. If there's an agreement between Notre Dame and the ACC to have the ACC not advocate against Notre Dame in the event of a playoff push, and the ACC...
Which they didn't. At no point did they say Notre Dame shouldn't be in. They said Miami should be in over Notre Dame.
That's saying Notre Dame shouldn't be in.
The ACC's problem for respecting their fiduciary obligation to their actual football members and saying our actual members that pay us money should be in the playoff.
Ziggy, the ACC and Notre Dame have 24 teams where the Notre Dame is a part of the conference.
Yep, the ACC absolutely needs to advocate us in basketball and fencing and swimming and whatever other sports we do.
Sure, I'm with you.
They have a fiduciary duty to their members in the individual sports. We're not a member in football.
But
when we won a playoff one last year, how much money did we send the ACC? That's a thank you for letting us play them.
Nothing.
Yeah, we don't send them anything, so they don't owe us anything.
But if there's an agreement as part of the Notre Dame ACC football deal, it seems to me that the ACC part of our deal as being part of the ACC for other sports, and then the football agreement is that they're not going to advocate against us.
I would love to see that clause in the contract.
We'll see.
That says you have an obligation to. I guarantee you, there's no such clause. People are going to say there's a non-disparagement clause. Sure. That doesn't cut it.
Even if there's no clause, the ACC coming out and speaking very publicly against. Now, I know you said it's for Miami. It was very much against Notre Dame. If you're for Miami, they're saying head to head. They're all putting out posts head to head, and they're showing the game
the exact same post for Alabama and BYU.
They're showing the game for 9 hours. Like, I can see how if you're Notre Dame, who is connected to the ACC in many ways, you're rubbed the wrong way from that.
Except actually being a member and supporting the conference. When we need something from the ACC, they always give it to us. But the ACC needs to give us even more, even at the expense of their actual members. That's your argument here.
I'm saying that when you're in business with someone, it's not a great idea to publicly go against them as aggressively as the ACC did.
It is laughable to suggest that the ACC needs to support Notre Dame's playoff case.
Not support.
At the expense of one of their actual members.
Don't need to support Notre Dame. I'm just saying it's not crazy for Notre Dame to be rubbed the wrong way and say, screw this. We don't need to be a part of this.
Well, we actually do.
I don't think we
need the ACC. The ACC does not need us.
I completely see what you're saying, Ziggy, when you're like, yeah, if you're the ACC, we're going to support Miami because they're our team. But you need to understand, if you're going to do that, you are doing it at the expense of someone else that you are very much tied in together with. And that might rub them the wrong way. And if it rubs them the wrong way...
But it's totally irrational to be rubbed the wrong way about this. You're pointing out that Notre Dame is upset and there's a cause, but Notre Dame's unjustified.
Even if there's not
Of course, Miami is supporting their actual member.
Even if there's not a clause, I'm imagining it like when you and Weston ran for president, and then our good buddies Jacob and Aiden also ran for president and vice president of the dorm. If I came out and was like, you know what? Weston's my roommate. I'm all in on Ziggy and Weston. And I just ran around the dorm yelling Ziggy and Weston, posters, everything. And then Aiden and Jacob win. And I go like, all right, like, can I be, like, yeah, I'm ready to be on the committee here. And they're like, no. like you were just all over our faces. You know, you laughed in our faces. You advocate against us. Like, do you understand why it is different that Miami is a member of the ACC and Notre Dame isn't? No, and I'm like, you guys are both my friends, like, and Weston was my roommate though. You know, Weston was my roommate. They're like, yeah, I get why you voted for him. You didn't have to throw it in our face the whole time though. Like,
I think it is baffling to expect the ACC to act against their own interests in the interests of Notre Dame. And if that was what Notre Dame expected, they got what they deserved.
Yeah, and you know what? And Miami lost them. So there you go. Like, if it was worth it to Miami, there you go. But I don't blame Notre Dame for being upset that a conference that they do a lot with was just shoving in their face.
If we want the ACC to advocate for our playoff case, there's only one thing we have to do. Instead of like pushing the ACC to add members who are worse for the conference but refusing to join, we can join and support the conference.
You know that's not going to happen.
And then the ACC will advocate for us too.
We shouldn't join a conference.
Yeah, but then we shouldn't expect the benefits of being in a conference either. And one of the benefits of being in a conference is you have a conference to advocate for you, the College Football Playoff Committee. You know, Notre Dame, this is another instance of special treatment. All the conferences, they get like an impartial conference commissioner who goes and makes the case.
We're friends.
Notre Dame gets to send our own AD to say, no conflict of interest. We're just going to advocate for one team, Notre Dame. They get a special exemption. Everyone else, it's the conferences that advocate.
We're in 24 other sports. The ACC made its choice. And I look, that's a choice they can make. But Notre Dame can say, like, all right, screw you guys. Like, yeah, screw this.
Yeah, and then Notre Dame will have to join the Big Ten or the SEC, who I guarantee you will not give us the outrageously favorable scheduling deal the ACC has given us.
People do also get on the whole, and we'll wrap it up after this, because this is exactly what Ziggy did not want.
This is why I said we shouldn't talk about.
But I think it's an interesting conversation, though, and it's one that's at the forefront of college football right now. And Notre Dame not being independent is something that a lot of people throw a hissy fit over, because they think we're pompous and all of that. But it's rooted in the tradition. It's when the Western Conference in the 1900s was what now is the Big Ten. Notre Dame tried to join, and Michigan led the movement of, no, we don't want them in here. And it was largely encouraged from anti-Catholic messaging. And Notre Dame decided, Knute Rockne in the in 1920s, we're like, okay, like, we can't be part of this conference. We're improving college football team. That's why Notre Dame was independent. They weren't allowed in the Big Ten, and they started traveling around the country to play Army, Navy, to show off the team and to play better competition. They went to USC on the West Coast. That's why Notre Dame, plays the USC game. That's why Notre Dame has the quote unquote, has the Shamrock Series, where they play somewhere that's paying homage to the early Notre Dame teams that traveled all over the country. They play a game in a stadium in like Vegas, or they go.
So look, all of this is true. And I'm not saying it's bad Notre Dame is independent, but what Notre Dame has consistently asked for is all the benefits of being independent with all the privileges of being part of a conference. And that's unreasonable.
Sure.
And this is yet another instance where Notre Dame says, we're not going to join the ACC. We're not going to support them financially. We're going to ask them to let us in when it's convenient. And we're going to have a scheduling agreement that's one-sided. But like when it comes time for the ACC to do one thing for themselves, we're going to throw a huge hissy fit, say the relationship's permanently damaged, and what looks like line up to leave.
The ACC makes a lot of money when Notre Dame goes on the road and plays those games on ESPN. The ACC makes a lot of money when Notre Dame goes and plays Miami, when Notre Dame's playing a lot of their bad teams. Like the ACC does not, it's not like the ACC is doing charity work here. The ACC makes money from Notre Dame.
The scheduling agreement of Notre Dame has been a disaster for the ACC and really beneficial for Notre Dame. Like you might be right that they agreed to it thinking it would be good for them, but at this point, what the ACC has done is they let Notre Dame get to play effectively a conference schedule. The ACC weakens their brand significantly by having Notre Dame come in and beat their teams every year. And they get very little out of it because when Notre Dame does well, they don't get any of the benefits other than some small TV viewership.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's not like Miami couldn't schedule Notre Dame if it weren't for this ACC scheduling agreement, right?
Yeah. Miami could do it, but yeah. So we'll see what happens. I don't have any sympathy for him. You know, I have no sympathy for the ACC.
I actually am curious. What this is not a generic push to get people to leave comments, but I actually am curious whether people take my side or Paul's sides here because I do
way
think
more people
I'm
take your
my
side.
Case really strongly, but I do think there's an argument for both sides here.
I mean, no, I think most people will be on your side of things, and I get it. People hate Notre Dame, and I don't think a lot of people get the independence thing and why that's like a part of ND's brand of like, yeah, we're like, this has been our history. We can afford it as the NBC, and they do 100%.
And we lose out on money for being independent, by the way.
Like they go after.
If we joined the Big Ten, we'd get more money.
Yeah, but we can survive as with NBC. Like we can do that. We're the only team that can probably do that. And I think a lot of people think it's from an arrogance standpoint, and there's probably a degree of arrogance to it, but I don't think that's not what it's rooted in. It's not. It's really rooted in the history of how Notre Dame was shaped as a football program, which is really interesting to me. But yeah, I guess I'm spiteful from this. I think this was wrong. I think it's wrong how they handled it. Is burning all the bridges the right move? Some will probably say no, but I don't think Notre Dame has done anything terrible. Like they've come out, they've had no problem with the teams.
Look, I mean, it's not like they haven't committed any great moral crimes, but it makes me embarrassed to be a Notre Dame fan.
So I'm not embarrassed by it. I have no problem with not playing the ball game.
Because you agree. Yeah, you think Notre Dame was screwed by a corrupt system, and you think any damage that we cause on the way out protesting that system is appropriate.
Fair enough. I think the bowl games are going out regardless. Maybe we're just the first domino to fall here. I've no desire to help ESPN in any way here, and the ACC made its bed. Like so, yeah. I don't think anything here is like. Actually, I don't know. Maybe I do. All right, we'll wrap it up there. I'm sure most people agree with you, but I think it's a discussion that's worth having. Like it is a really. I mean, there's some big things happening here, so we'll wrap it up there. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. God, I'm going to get ripped in the comment section about this Notre Dame stuff. I have no doubt. We'll see what happens. It'll be interesting tomorrow when the Notre Dame athletic director speaks. I think Freeman's going to get a raise.
And people are going to get hyped thinking he's announcing like we're leaving the ACC. It's going to be a Freeman extension and nothing else.
Yeah, I think so. Which is good. I don't want him to go to the Giants, which is what some people are saying. It's not going to happen, but that would be really bad. All right, we'll wrap it up there. We'll see you soon.